Welcome to Deep Thought of the Day by Beezy Bees Honey. Before we jump into this conversation in progress, I just wanted to bring about a bit of context as to what you are about to listen to. As part of our journey to embrace AI, we decided to record small windows of conversation that one of our founders had with AI. These conversations are typically about life, philosophy, and its potential, meaning, and purpose. We thought you'd find them interesting and decided to publish them. So, without further delay, let's jump into one of these conversations as it has already begun.
Life as a journey. It's probably one of the most common metaphors we use to describe our existence. But what if this deeply ingrained way of thinking is actually holding us back from truly living?
That's such an intriguing perspective, especially considering how Alan Watts completely transforms this view. Instead of seeing life as this linear path, he suggests something far more dynamic.
It reminds me of something I witnessed at my nephew's wedding last summer. Everyone was on the dance floor, from toddlers to grandparents, and no one was thinking about what came next. They were just there, completely present in that moment.
That's exactly the kind of spontaneous joy that captures what Watts is talking about. When you're actually dancing, you're not focused on reaching the end of the song.
And yet, isn't that precisely what we do in life? We're constantly rushing toward the next milestone, the promotion, the retirement, the next big thing, without really experiencing the present moment.
I've noticed that pattern in my own life. Even during my morning routine, I catch myself rushing through breakfast, barely tasting my food because I'm already thinking 3 steps ahead.
Well, speaking of morning routines, I tried something different today that relates to this whole concept. Instead of my usual rushed breakfast while checking email routine, I put on some music and just moved around while making coffee. The whole experience felt completely different.
That sounds like such an interesting shift. How did breaking from your usual pattern feel?
You know what's fascinating? At first, it felt absolutely ridiculous. Here I am, dancing around my kitchen at 7 a.m. But then something shifted. I started noticing details I usually miss. The aroma of the coffee, the morning light, even the sound of birds outside. Time seemed to expand somehow.
That's exactly the kind of mindful presence that seems to be at the heart of this philosophy. It's about finding the dance in everyday moments.
And here's what makes this perspective particularly powerful for people in their golden years. They've already achieved many of those destinations we're all rushing toward. They have this unique opportunity to embrace a different approach to living.
That reminds me of the story about the impromptu family dance in the backyard. There's something so pure about those unplanned moments of connection.
You know what's really striking about this whole metaphor? It applies differently to various seasons of life. Sometimes it's an energetic salsa, sometimes it's a slow waltz, and sometimes it's just gentle swaying. But it's all part of the same beautiful dance.
That's such a nuanced way of looking at it. It acknowledges that life isn't always going to feel like a celebration, but there's still rhythm in the quieter moments.
And think about how this perspective might transform our approach to anxiety and stress. When you're dancing, you're not worried about whether you're good enough or if you've arrived. You're just moving with the music of the moment.
That's particularly relevant given how many people struggle with anxiety about the future or regrets about the past.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Research shows that people who practice mindfulness, which is essentially what we're talking about, experience significantly lower levels of anxiety and depression. It's not just philosophy, it's backed by science.
So, if we apply this dance metaphor to our daily lives, how do you think it changes our approach to relationships and connections with others?
Well, instead of seeing relationships as another checkpoint on life's journey, we could view them as ongoing dances of connection and discovery. It's not about getting somewhere specific. It's about how we move together through each moment.
That's such a refreshing way to think about it. It takes away the pressure of, where is this going? And replaces it with, how are we moving together right now?
And you know what's fascinating? This approach aligns perfectly with recent studies on happiness and well-being. Research shows that people who focus on experiences rather than achievements consistently report higher levels of life satisfaction.
That really challenges our cultural obsession with productivity and achievement, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. When you're dancing, you're not producing anything tangible. You're simply being, moving, experiencing. Maybe that's the most valuable lesson we can take from all of this. Life isn't about accumulating achievements, it's about fully engaging with each moment as it comes.
And perhaps that's the real gift in Watts's perspective. It reminds us that we don't have to wait for some future moment to start enjoying our lives. The music is already playing.
So here's to finding our rhythm, whatever that might look like, and remembering that we're not dancing to get anywhere. We're dancing for the pure joy of the movement itself.
Thank you for taking the time to listen. For more episodes and guided meditations, please visit deepbearsleep.com.